webinar today for transforming the business through blockchain. And more importantly, this webinar is going to be an eye opener for you because it's the second part of the series which we started in 2021. The major point of this webinar, which we are going to discuss here, is exactly where is the blockchain currently and what does the future looks like? Because a lot of things have changed in the last 2 years. And to have this conversation going, joining me is today is Dr. Satya N Gupta and Mr. Malika Arjun. So let me give you a brief about both of them. So, let me introduce first of all Dr. Satya N Gupta. He is currently the chairman of Blockchain for Productivity Forum. He's an international expert in engineering technologies, regulation, interconnection, and broadband with almost 40 years of experience in all aspects of telecom, including 25 years in government and regulatory. Satya N Gupta is publicly recognized as an analyst, author, advocate, and advisor of ICT-related policies, project, and business. After his post-graduation from India's Institute of Science in Bangalore, he joined Ministry of Communication in 1981 and Ministry of Railway in 1983. He is also the recipient of Ministry of Railway Award for outstanding performance for the digitalization project. His triple masters in electronics and design technology, IT management, telecom policy and regulation. He is also known as Engineering Guru. He's a trainer and coach in telecom technologies, policy and regulation and regulatory advocate. He authored a book called Everything Over IP, and he's also authored a concept called Job Factory, converting unemployed employment into entrepreneurship. He's an honorary Secretary General of IT-APT Foundation of India, and additionally, he's Vice President Trustee of PTCIF and co-chair of BIF Committee in Rural Digital Infrastructure. He's also working as chairman of Bluetown India and WIMSTEC, South Asia. So welcome, Satya sir, on board. So our next speaker is, thank you, sir, thank you. Our next speaker is Mallikarjun Karra. Mallikarjun Karra is currently working as Director and Head Research and Partnership, TIMECHAIN Lab. He's also the Global Ambassador for India BSc Blockchain Association, a Master of Science from IIT Kharagpur. Malika, I think it is great to have you here for our discussion to start off. Malika, are you able to open your camera? Yeah.
Good. Am I audible?
You're audible, but your camera is off.
My camera's turned on. Let me just. Is it okay now?
No, we don't see.
That's a bit weird. I can see myself. Should I re-enter?
You can re-enter, please. You can re-enter. No problem.
Am I visible now?
Perfect.
Perfect.
So I think, sorry for the timing has gone slightly wrong, but we have reduced you. Okay, so let me start the premise with the fact for all the audience here. I mean, a lot of things have changed in the last. If you look at the history itself, that we started. If you look at from the human civilization point of view, we started with barter system, and they used to exchange of goods and services, and then kingdoms came in and they started their own coin system, and from there, from there we developed after almost 1,000 years, we developed institutions to control the transactions, to understand, to reduce the uncertainties in the system, and also to control exactly how and track how the system is working. So we created institutions, and which led to governments, and governments then led to banks, and then in 1990s, we started with a new revolution called internet, and that led to the e-commerce, search engine, payment system, and everything changed altogether. But in the late 2000s, there's a concept came out called blockchain, which was coined by Satoshi Nakamoto, and somehow I don't want to define blockchain because I have experts here to do that. But somehow the notion came out that the technology can govern the institutional duties rather than you need to have a bank or a central authority to govern the transactions. And decentralization as a theme came out in public. That was a nutshell of exactly how what has happened in the last history of blockchain and other things. Gladly, we also have Prasanna sir here. Ek minute, let me add it to it. Okay, he just left, I think. Just wait a 1 minute, just 1 minute. I think just timing issue, but anyways, just 1 minute. He just joined it. So, hello, Prasanna sir. I think you can hear me. Just give me 1 minute. So, sorry for the last minute interruption, but so we have now our guest, Mr. Prasanna Lohar, has joined. He's the CEO of Blockstack, and previously he was the Chief Innovation Officer for DCB Bank. And so, happy to have you here, sir. So because we have started the conversation, so I'll
Morning,
cut it
Prasanna.
short.
Yeah, thank you.
So let me introduce you to all three of you. So Dr. Satya N Gupta, he is the chairman of Blockchain Proprietary Forum,
Yeah,
and he's also the head of the IPv6. And Mr. Mallikarjun Karra, he is the partner and head for TimeChain Labs. I think all of you have met each other maybe in one form or the other, maybe. Right?
yeah,
Okay,
Met
and myself,
Prasanna ji.
Akhil, from faculty in University of Portfolio Studies. So happy to all of you here, and now let me get back to the question directly because I think premise is already over, Prasanna sir. So I mean, we have to cut it short and we are directly go to the question part. Okay, so let me start with Dr. Satya here. Dr. Satya, one before we start our discussion on what specifics to the blockchain part is, I want to have your view on the lens of what is the post-COVID world look like. I mean, to be very frank, the first wave of COVID, uske baad bhi people said that there's a post-COVID world. After the second wave happened, and then now it's 2020. But the picture is keep on changing. Picture of post-COVID world changing. So, what is your view on the post-COVID world? How the digitalization will happen? Yeah, first we start with you.
Oh, thank you, Professor, and good morning, everyone. I'm really grateful to Professor Akhil to give me this opportunity in the August company of our friends, Mr. Prasanna and Arjun. And so you have asked a very simple question, actually, the post COVID word, actually, it is now named as a new normal. It is a new normal, and that is what is also called endemic, actually. Like COVID was pandemic, and this is endemic. We have come to the end game, and it has become what I'll call a new normal. And new normal, especially from the business angle and the life angle, is work from anywhere, not just work from home. It has actually compelled, accelerated, and made it a new normal to work from anywhere, either from your home, from your office, from a resort, from your park, or while you are on move. So that is the main, you can say, new paradigm here. And that is what was actually mentioned to. Yesterday, we were in the IMC, Indian Mobile Congress, where I was covering on behalf of ET in now Savdesh. And when Prime Minister inaugurated it and he spoke, that is the hint he gave. Now, anybody can make use of technology because he's compelled to do so. It is not that technology was not there earlier. It was there. It is there today also. But there was no compulsion to use it. And especially the unconnected people were not able to use it. Uneducated or untrained people were not using it. But now you have no option. You have to use technology. If you don't use technology, you are not there. You cannot survive in any case, whether you are educated, whether you are poor, whether you are unconnected. The technology still have to be used. So that was the message, and that is what is a new normal. Work from anywhere means, of course, you will need a connection to do any work today. When I talk of business, when I'm talk of life living, then maybe you can be unconnected and use technology in your vicinity and still be more efficient, more happy, and have more experience. But if you are doing anything with business where transaction is involved, then the connectivity is also required, and 5G will enable it, will make the connectivity ubiquitous and very high speed, bandwidth on demand, whenever you need, whatever you need, and everything will be provided to you as a service. 5G is just not as a service. Everything you want to do will come you as a service. Like we are talking of blockchain as a service, platform as a service, infrastructure as a service, all those things are passe now. Those were there, the cloud. But now everything as a service. That is what will be enabled by 5G, and even blockchain you can get as a service. Blockchain platform as a service. A distributed ledger database as a service. That is what will happen. And from one thing which is very, very important and critical here is the work from home data security, data protection, where you have to have a connection which is secured. If you want to work from your home for business, where you are doing some data processing, it may be your customer data, it may be your company data. So the data has to be protected. You cannot put it in the normal broadband or normal internet connection because it is not secured. So for a secured connection, you need what is called either a leased line or a VPN, virtual private network. Virtual private network is a carved out channel out of the public network like internet. And virtual private network normally used to be done by the operator or the VPN companies, which are specialists in that, needing a lot of expertise and technology. But now that is not required. Actually, with 5G and with IPv6, you can get a dedicated address. With that, you as a user, that is called customer provisioned VPN. You can provision your own VPN sitting at your home just by having a connection, a Wi-Fi connection or a SIM connection, 4G connection, 5G connection, whatever is that. You can do what is called customer provisioned virtual private network. And that has been permitted. Earlier, it was not permitted for work from home. For work from home, you needed a leased line or a VPN by a service provider, which was very expensive. Now you can do it yourself. So technology point of view, the customer provisioned VPN is the main tool or main enabler, and work from anywhere is the new paradigm, which will call it new normal. So, Professor, I think that is enough for your first question.
Thanks, Satya sir. I think you have really defined the whole point that there's a new normal, and digitalization and technology is not an option anymore. It's a must for all people to have. I mean, continuing to the same thing, Mr. Prasanna, let me put the mic on you. Uh, what is your view in the lens of post-COVID world, and how you see the digital market? I mean, you've been part of the innovation team of DCB Bank, and now you have your own company working on the blockchain situation. What is your view of the post-COVID world? How it will look like?
I think people used to say COVID is the big accelerator for digital transformation. So for sure, what we have seen pre-COVID, while every organization was having their own journeys of digital transformation, and it was not that much pace. But during COVID and post-COVID, if you see, at least during COVID, every organization changed their strategies while running their while flying their aircraft, while running their operations. They have changed their strategy. They have adopted technologies heavily, and most importantly, what we have seen during COVID, within organization, people came together. They have started collaborating very heavily together, business teams, IT teams, and the kind of when I was at DCB Bank, so we used to do around 40-50 projects a year before COVID. So during COVID, the score was around 150 plus. So that's the traction we had seen in 18 months. But post-COVID, what has given a momentum, rather a next level of responsibility. Customer has changed. The customer who was visiting cinema halls wanted to visit, never wanted to visit cinema again during COVID. Everything was going on mobile apps. So every business model now we have seen it is a web plus or a digital first post COVID. Nobody wants to talk about a digital or physical stores out there. If you see post pandemic in India, regulators like RBI or relevant companies like RBI Innovation, NPCI or IFSC, they are coming with a lot of a push for digitalization. If you see recent announcements at Global FinTech Fest of UPI Lite, so that we can cover almost all Indians under UPI for payments, or ONDC, which is a recent announcement where not only payments but e-commerce also now coming as a consolidated platform. So what we have seen post COVID, lot of platforms are coming and they are enabling all the ecosystem together, right? For example, Bharat Bill Payment, or you talk about UPI. Now we have been announced digital rupee, which is another CBDC, while other countries are implementing their CBDCs. So I think post COVID, lot of transformation is coming. People are now welcoming hybrid culture as far as work is concerned, and people are adopting technologies very heavily. right? They are coming with a lot of innovations now with the 5G coming into picture in India. Now the game will be altogether different, right? The kind of a business model, kind of operations which we have seen during Web 2 era or during last 20 years, which was backed by a telecommunication industry, 2G followed by 3G and 4G. But 5G takes altogether different level altogether. As Satyan sir was talking about, many more business models will come. So the way we used to operate on marketplaces, we have seen only 8, 9, 10 entities like Ola, Uber, or workplaces. Here onwards, everything will go on marketplace or a sharing economy. So I think you will see lot much banking which was happening in brick and mortar will happen more of on super apps or on marketplaces. And with the way I am seeing in India and other governments are adopting blockchain and relevant other technologies like AI and IoT. So what we had dreamed during last decade, we will see lot of such outputs coming in this decade. We should see digital rupee formation, which could be a innovation of this decade. UPI we have seen last decade, so ONDC, account aggregator, or PCR. So lot of new things are coming post pandemic, and everybody is collaborating on various platforms, which was not happening before pandemic or during pandemic also. Regulator governments is quite agile enough now to really make many more things happens. Recent innovation index which we have seen for India is 40, which is an example of what we had done in the last 18 months. So it's a phenomenal, but there is a lot of opportunities ahead of companies like us, where at a Blockstack we look at how do we create a blockchain infrastructure riding on various other technologies, and make sure that your end goal or end output should be developed in a faster way. So I think organizers are understanding how do we optimize their resources, how do we save operations with the right set of automation. Moreover, post-pandemic, organizations have inclined towards technology adoption, giving training or relearning around new techs, so that employees can come up with and strategize for a new India or a new organization. So I think pace is now very good in all the people side, process of automation side, or technology adoption, regulatory side. Even partners are now coming up with supporting this whole ecosystem, and customer is changing heavily. So today we talk about customer is a human being. So I think tomorrow's customer is going to be devices. With 5G coming into picture, your home appliances, your cars, what not all you have dreamed for or researched for. So that will become more reality, and more challenges around cyber security, more challenges around having right compliance is very, very important. So it's a more responsibility. It's not post pandemic, it's only acceleration is happening. But on the other side, more safeguarding, more taking care of data will become challenge, and we'll see technology like blockchain, which is a first, which is a security first technologies, or with a combination of AI or other technologies will be really surpassed. But at the same time, we need to keep on researching on quantum and other technologies, which will take our life altogether at a different level. I think these are my initial remark, Akhil. Yeah. You're on mute.
Excellent remarks, Prasanna sir. I think you gave a very good landscape of exactly how the post-COVID world looks like, and with all the themes of government regulation and the industry, how they're dealing to it. So, Malika, over to you on the same occasion. I mean, you are the third person. So, I mean, same question for the last person is very difficult to answer because most of the things that get covered. But I know you
Yeah,
can do it well. So, Malika, please over to you on your lens for the post-COVID
yeah.
world before
Thank
we
you.
move to the blockchain.
Sure, sure. So basically, I think Dr. Gupta and Prasanna ji, they've covered everything. But what I'd like to add is what COVID did. COVID was a great leveler. And of course, during the COVID, the Western economies, they printed money like anything. And we've been more conservative and more responsible. And most definitely, the various crises that followed COVID. have its roots in COVID, one way or the other, directly or indirectly. So what we are seeing now is a changing geopolitical landscape where India is quite well positioned to take advantage of whatever is happening. And secondly, like you mentioned, how early on when you said, Akhilji, how humans grew out of the barter system and so on, and then we had kingdoms printing these mudras or tanka as they were called in India, and coincidentally, or I mean, it seems extremely conceivable that tanka is cognate with token. So now today in the post-COVID world, when we talk about everything being tokenized, so that's quite familiar to us in the sense that you can tokenize your property, you can tokenize other assets, you can tokenize yourself, your time. So this is a game changer in my opinion. So this again leads us more towards decentralization, which has been a theme in this entire crypto community and so on. But decentralization here will mean, for example, in the last week, I've been hearing this debate around moonlighting, right? So people have been working for their company and also some other companies. So in one way, if you're working for your competitor, that's probably unethical, but it's an idea whose time has come. So you cannot hold people down as an employee. There's going to be more freedom and decentralization, which means that we need the ability to negotiate our contracts in our interests, which was possibly not the case in previous times. And this is where futuristic technologies such as blockchain will most definitely help people do that. It will open things up. So if you have an education and access to this technology, you can negotiate your freedoms better, your rights and your contractual obligations better. So I think we are looking at a completely changed world. It will change the way you approach education. It will change the way you approach work. Like my esteemed panelists have already pointed out, it has already changed the way we work out of. I mean, I'm in Bilaspur, midway between NCR and Bangalore, which I keep traveling to frequently. So yeah, I think it's exciting.
Yeah, it's absolutely exciting, Malika. I mean, a great point, all of you. Just to add a 1 minute point, it also has rapidly changed education system, and you will be amazed to know that we as a university also creating metaverse of our own, so that anybody can join from anywhere to have their classroom. I'm not advocating our course. I'm telling you the education system is getting disrupted. It's not only the industry which is have got an impact of post-COVID. The digitalization has impacted the education system as well. So, anyways,
That,
so go into
that's
the
right.
next
I
part of.
do.
Yeah, please.
Sorry. I just want to say that's right. And education will be so disrupted that people won't bother about degrees anymore. It will be more about skills, and your skills are a part of your history, which are recorded on the blockchain. So that's something
Absolutely,
interesting.
absolutely. Good point, sir. So, okay, so let me now, because now a good accidentally and naturally, that naturally we are now boiling down to blockchain. So the next question to all my panelists, Dr. Satya, let me start from you. That you have really told us regarding the new normal and also about the post-COVID world. Now let's boil down to our question of blockchain industry. You, sir, have seen blockchain industry for the past 7, 8 years, and you also are the chairman of Blockchain for Prosperity Forum. You have seen the transition, which actually started in 2016-17. That the blockchain is going to come. Government is coming out with a new regulation, and now they have come with a new policy. They have come out with a new national blockchain policy, and now you see the startup ecosystem coming in, national blockchain forums around India, everything around. So, what is your view of what of the potential of the technology? And secondly, what is your lens in the sense what you see from the future of blockchain, how it's going to impact the industry?
Oh, thank you, Professor, for this background and the question that, as Malika have already mentioned about blockchain, and you also know, and I believe this audience know what we mean by blockchain, what is the difference between Bitcoin, which was the earlier avatar of blockchain, if I like to call it, And now, so I'll not go in the definition of the blockchain, but as you have rightly asked about its potential and future for the business, the blockchain actually, first we have to see what the blockchain brings to the table. Any technology, and especially the what we used to call earlier blue sky technologies, now they are called disruptive technologies. So blockchain actually come that, and they are also called deep technology. There are different names, but main thing according to me is a technology will be called disruptive, not in the negative connotation, but I will call it a disruptive creation technology. So though it creates disruption, but it creates some value. And blockchain actually falls good in that promise and potential. That is why blockchain is also called Internet of Value. The main thing about blockchain is, first, like any other cutting edge technology, it has to solve a problem which the existing technologies are unable to solve. That is the starting point. Luckily, blockchain meets that definition part of it. And the second thing is it should always create value, even if it do destruction, it do disruption, it do some damage. But end game, the value creation. Value should get enhanced. I have actually like to call it a wealth creation. It is beyond the value. So blockchain have to create the wealth, value, and solve some existing problem. I had named it 7 years back a magical technology, equated it with Aladdin ka Chirag actually. In the movies, they used to use that actually. So according to me that time, and I'm now also, I believe in that, blockchain can solve any problem we have. Actually, in my last PPT, I have called it Ramban, Ramban kind of technology. It is actually. Only thing is you have to know how to make use of it. For that, you need capacity, capability. Luckily, in India, we are number two in the blockchain works here, blockchain developments, blockchain startups, blockchain capabilities, whatever you call it actually. So that is where we are at a right spot to exploit the potential of the blockchain, which promises to solve any problem. So how it does that? Actually, two, three things which have already come. One is decentralization. That is the key, actually, you can say ingredient and element of blockchain. Decentralization, even definition itself, the distributed ledger technology. Actually, it is basically, they mean decentralization. The decentralization have a lot of advantages, which will be discussed later if time permits. So decentralization. And the second, which is equally important, is what we call trust. It also have to bring trust. Normally, trust is brought by a third party, by a central agency. So you don't need central agency to build the trust. So the blockchain inherently as a technology brings the trust by participation of the users themselves, and witnesses are the users themselves, because trust can be built by witnesses or by data. So that is two things. The third thing which we are working on and which is adding a lot of value is sharing, the peer-to-peer communication and sharing. The sharing transparency, the sharing, the decentralization bring transparency and trust. And that is what, and finally the peer-to-peer, because no central agency, no central equipment. So these three elements of the blockchain brings lot of value, brings efficiency, brings trust, create value, add value. And that is what is the promise and potential. And we are there already in India itself. A lot of applications, especially we have started with enterprises, we have started with government, now the individual society actually at large. Everywhere it will make headway, not just because it's a buzzword, because it solves the problem. Whatever problem you have, if you can identify and define that. And if you can prove that the existing technology cannot solve, then the blockchain is the candidate and it has a promise to solve your problem. But you should not put blockchain everywhere. You may not be able to afford that, or it may be a overkill. So as I mentioned, you should have a problem. The existing technology is unable to solve, or you don't know how to solve it with the existing technology because definitely too complex and too expensive. The beauty of blockchain is it simplifies the solution to a problem, provided the problem is simplified. First, you yourself have to simplify your problem, and then rest of the job will be done by blockchain by using technology in a simplified manner. That is why the blockchain have a big promise and potential, Professor.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Saman. I mean, great point to add to. Prasanna sir, I think let me same question slightly specific to the industry point of view. I mean, as what Satya sir has already said, blockchain has a huge potential, and nobody needs to have a doubt on that. But my question to you is, have we reached uh, the stage where we have really understood the application of blockchain? Is the industry is yet to understand it well, or it is just adopting the initial, the nascent stage of blockchain? What is the current stage where the industry is? Are we really into it? Let me add translate context what I'm trying to say. I mean, I think
Yeah.
Malika also knows it very well. I mean, when the internet came in, let me answer this. The internet came in, the potential of internet was to have communication. But the major application of internet came when the Google created search engine and the social networking came in. I mean, these two were never thought of when the internet just came out as a point, because the power of internet was not related to the application which came out. So my question to you again, same thing is the industry still doing the R&D or the testing of this particular potential, or they've really understood that what does the future looks like in this particular business?
Yeah, I
So,
think today when if we divide some industries into three different parts, okay, so the industry who are looking forward and want to implement blockchain, or who is, or industry who is already implementing some of those proof of concept pilots of a blockchain, and industry is already mainstream, and they have utilized blockchain in the other ecosystems already. So most of the say example gaming industry, or some of those esports platforms, right now they are heavily adopting concepts like NFTs, and looking forward to create metaverse, and which is quite matured ecosystem for them to really implement. So based upon type of industry, you can say whether we are into blockchain 1 era, or a blockchain 2, or a blockchain 3. So most of the blockchain 1 era, which is around cryptocurrency, digital assets, or a token, non-fungible tokenization, that is being implemented, right? And in India also, we could see a lot of announcements like Chingari, or around those NFTs. So that is being implemented, but the real value of a blockchain with a mass community, or a mass corporate, comes through blockchain 2.0, or maybe down the line 3.0, where we will see how organizations will adopt, or how enterprises will adopt. So there, I think outside of India, adoption is huge, right? For example, Estonia, or Dubai, or some of the other countries who has taken blockchain as a path-breaking technology for their nationality or a strategy. So here, Estonia have implemented more than 290 plus use cases for their citizens, which is backed by a digital ledger ecosystem, right? It has, rather, the journey has started quite early for them, and it has become a template for other countries also. That is how we can see Dubai has implemented a lot of use cases on blockchain and AI in combination. And China has announced 500 plus use cases a couple of years back as a part of their national strategy. India has announced national strategy, but we had to really pick up the speed at a large scale. We keep seeing that some national chain is coming, or digital rupee is coming. So we need to see a greater adoption and a pace. So that is what we can see. So blockchain is not blockchain technology per se is not a challenge. We used to say that it is very slow, it is not secure sometimes. The challenges of consensus and so on. So that was a story in 2016-17. But today, I think blockchain can meet any of those enterprise need. If we talk about major aspects in banking industry, what we look at is scalability and security. So today there are platforms which can meet that need cohesively. Rather, these platforms says apart from that, let us know what more things we are required. So I think while we talk about blockchain adoption in enterprises, we need to look at layer one blockchains also to be nurtured, right? While we have quite a lot of number of layer two options like Solanas or Polygons and many more, but we need to strengthen layer one application, then only you will see mass and very good adoption out here. For example, we heard some merge has happened, right, for Ethereum, which was being planned for last several years, and now finally it's happened. Now here we have to see how layer one protocols are going to upgrade or are going to do lot of maturity and research on a regularly basis, which should happen and which will strengthen in the backend all of these blockchain technology maturity. Say example, in a digital transformation, we look at on a front side we have IoT, wearables, mobile apps, or web applications, and in mid we have APIs which will connect to the backend, right? Or we have a smart contracts which will connect to the backend, right? And in the backend you have a consensus or AI or big data, that kind of ecosystem. Now all these three layers has to talk to each other cohesively to bring on a right set of use cases for end users. So now even if one layer is not doing good, you will not have a better adoption for a customer. So it's not only blockchain, but blockchain has to cohesively work with other technologies, and blockchain has to work cohesively with other blockchains also. So the things like interoperability or things like building applications rapidly with the BaaS kind of a platforms, things like how do you have a continuous development and integration on a blockchain technology, CI/CD kind of adoption. So those things are also very important. So it's not text, but the processes around that and other technologies around that will really help to adopt a blockchain very easily. Now, most important part which we have seen in Indian context or industry context, mindset change, right? There are some organizations who will see example in banking, which I have seen very closely in last several years. So there are some banks, they will say let other bank do it. Now there are some banks who will say let's do POC pilot while other bank is doing it, and there are some banks who has done it, but the adoption and the peak of that use case has never happened. Example, we said ICS has announced intercorridor with Emirates NBD cross border payment, or S Bank has announced some kind of a supply chain on blockchain, and or so I think there are some use cases being announced. Okay, but the real adoption is really not happening as of now. Now the thing is like the mindset change. How do we change mindset, right? So I think what we have seen last couple of years, lot of banks, RBI Innovation Hub is at a center stage to bring all banks together and let's form some kind of a use cases. So they have started done some POC pilots again for a domestic trade. Now there is another company which is being found among many banks, EBIC, right? So EBIC 2018, but now we are seeing some limelight of some use cases, right? So mindset change followed by technology maturity, followed by layer one solutions maturity, how adoption should happen on layer two, so that more and more use case should come, how layer two companies are bringing on that kind of acceleration with hackathons and the kind of momentum they are bringing while bringing academia and the development community is very very important. And the last there should be policies. Like say example, we have a blockchain policy at Telangana government, but we yet to or Tamil Nadu government has announced. So individually a lot of states are working around those blockchain policies, and if you see in abroad, within US you will see only one policy, or within Australia you will see only one policy, or in Estonia it is only one policy, or in Dubai only one policy. So that kind of a diversity of policies important in Indian context, because the states themselves are fueling that kind of investment, but at a larger level, right? Although we are coming up with a national strategy, but that national strategy has to be supported by Indian use cases. What use cases we should bring on for a government, right? Recently we had at India Blockchain Forum, we had published a use case, 40 plus use cases, right? How these use cases can be really helpful, like education, certificate, DBT. There are many more use cases, and these use cases should be opened as a form of a competition or hackathon, so that many more solutions are available from tech companies. And so that is why it's very, very important at a national level to have a task force which takes care of a blockchain and other technologies together, and bring right use cases, right technology maturity, right education adoption with the academias. If you see today, suppose there are 100 companies, you will see hardly one or two companies have implemented blockchain course or blockchain degree out there. Few of them have done degree or certification programs, right? So a blockchain certification for a week or 6 months, and some of them have created COE, blockchain COE at say DLT labs or Web3 university. They are helping organizations as well as the companies to bring on a COE. So I think here onwards, we need to concentrate firstly around how do we change that mindset with the right awareness at a corporate level, academia level, both. Having a right national strategy, just not a paper strategy, but a right strategy with all the timelines, the way we have seen national strategy of other countries, with the timelines and with the use case repositories, and consortiums for particular supply chain industry or healthcare or education industry or a banking industry. Banking more or less solved with RBI Innovation Hub and EBIC coming together, and we'll see blockchain is a foundational technology, Akhil. It's not like a mobile app or a smartphone app which will come and plug and play and will create a super app within a 1 year, 2 year. Foundational technology takes its own time. See, internet is another foundational technology. Mallikarjun was talking about how the communication use case has now becoming internet everywhere, right? Coordination, collaboration, business processes, apps, transition, everything is on internet today, but lack of trust is there. But the being foundational technology, blockchain will take its own time. We have to run after it, because the way we have seen pace of adoption of internet, it took around 23 years for bringing UPI kind of ecosystem since 1995, right? So don't expect that cross-border payment will happen immediately in next 2 years, and certainly it will happen, because the kind of a research which is happening at hyperledgers or R3s or a country level or to academy level, and adoption is happening, it will happen. The pace is quite huge. The adoption pace of blockchain is quite huge. As Dr. Satyan ji has said, right, it is going to be very beautiful journey here onwards. Everything as a service is going to come. And when everything as a service, we need a trust in the backend. And that trust inherently will be driven by blockchain. But at the same time, blockchain is not a solution for everything, but blockchain will go and plug and play as a backend system, in that a complete digital transform, 3-layer digital transformation to bring more trust, more agility, more interoperability, and bringing more like-minded companies like education companies together, or government together, or banks together, to have a right use case in front of a customer. Example, customer opens a KYC at one bank today, it takes 5,000 to 10,000 rupees, and same customer goes to another bank, it takes another 5,000 to 10,000 rupees. Can you imagine if you bring that use case as a decentralized KYC on a blockchain? It is a one-time cost for banking ecosystems, and moreover, as a Mallikarjun said, tokenization is another use case will be formed there. How do that KYC token can be utilized in the consent of a customer? That, so I think opportunities are huge. So, but these are those some of those ways to really look at how do we have a better security, better compliances, better regulations, better adoption with mindset change, awareness, and a better technology maturity with the scalability. I think the pace is quite good. Good to see that blockchain is coming mainstream, and with 5G, IoT, AI, and blockchain will bring a lot of use cases. Good to see that university is going on metaverse, and that is how is the next interface, right? What we have seen, wave interface, mobile interface. Next is an invisible interface, either through AR, VR, metaverse. So looking
Yeah.
forward, yeah.
Thank you so much, sir. First of all, it was great. I mean, I should know, as a faculty, I'd say it was a great class. I mean, I got every single thing of frame exactly what the blockchain looks like. So, Malika, again, difficult for you because you're the third of part of the same question. But just to add to that, I want to go to the next question, extending to it, is that Malika, I think what Prasanna sir has already emphasized on the factors which will build the blockchain ecosystem. Let me put on one factor and start with you, and I will go to other speakers after that. What is the regulatory preparation required? I mean, in the sense, what is the regulatory model or the regulatory environment should be to make sure blockchain becomes the kind of vision we are looking forward to? I mean, like what Prasanna sir has already said, that you see a lot of push, but in the sense you don't have a definitive frame or a regulation coming in picture, and all of things are happening on national level. You need a lot of state level initiative on the regulatory perspective as well, compared to what other countries are. So, what is your view from the blockchain as an industry and for the regulatory preparation?
Right. So first of all, I think I completely agree with the essence of Prasannaji's message there. It's it's interesting that you can save a lot of money just by putting somebody's identity on the blockchain and make it the single source of truth, right? Uh, as far as regulation is concerned, so well, I'll just add a little more to that. You asked me where the industry is going and so on. So, for example, we at TimeChain Labs are building a solution for a UK-based company to make the credentialing system for their gig workers. So so whoever applies for jobs, they have an app. The companies that recruit people, they have an app, and the identity and verified credentials, verified by government authorized third parties, are put on the blockchain, right? So this is something that cannot stand on its own. And now here I bring in the regulation part, because um, right. So now I bring in the regulation part here, because we are all pretty capable of building such solutions. It's not just about one blockchain or the other, but overall, like Prasannaji said, the ecosystem has matured and we can all build such solutions. But what is needed here is for an active communication between the regulators and the industry leaders. So those who are fully capable of building such solutions need to take their solutions to the government, and then the government has to step in and say, look, this is what we are going to experiment with, and then we'll come up with the right kind of laws. So it's extremely difficult to say what direction this will take over the coming years. But I should say that time is of essence here. The world is changing really fast, and only those countries would be able to take advantage of the situation who move quickly, who are nimble and on their feet. So what kind of regulations am I personally looking for? It would be nice if the government could say that, it's fine, we've taxed cryptocurrencies and all. By the way, personally, I'm fine with that. But we would want more experimentation. And this is where we can take advantage of our federal structure. So because each and every state has a different way of approaching this, let's turn it into an advantage. Turn each state into an experimental bed of a different kind of a technology. Right. In the end, over the course of 2 or 3 years, whichever wins out is the policy that the central government can follow. So this would be my approach to regulation. Like again, decentralize it, do experiments everywhere. Whatever is the most successful, then you take it to the center and then apply it all over the country.
You are muted, Professor. You are muted.
Satya, sir. Sorry, now my mic is on.
Yeah.
Thanks, Malika, for the excellent answer. That's good. So, handing over to Dr. Satya, let me put it this way. The question I want to ask, because I'm asking, I mean, the person who's already part of regulation for a decade. So, I mean, Satya sir, you already were part of telecom regulator for a long period of time, and you also realized that I think regulator is also a very important catalyst to push the market for a particular industry. I mean, if you look at telecom revolution, I think you will not disagree with me that it is not only started because of the companies came in, it is also because the regulatory push which happened in 2002 and 2001 with Tri Act 1997 and others which came in. And same goes to the other regulators like Competition Commission of India came in, and other regulators. ERA came in airports. But in blockchain case, if you look at, industry is going very fast. Okay, like Prasanna has already demonstrated everything, but we don't see a clear picture from the regulatory point of view to what is actually the frame uh, which is required. I mean, vision is one thing. I'm okay with that, but what is the regulatory prescription which will come on ground? What is the tariff regulation which will come on ground? What is the kind of policy which will come on ground? I mean, that's still not clear. I mean, I want your view on that. Do you think that it's because the technology is more complex, or the government is still testing the water?
Yeah, thank you, Professor. Actually, both Arjun and Prasanna ji have already given their view. But as you have asked me, I'll give you a view of my own based on my experience. And it is about whether to regulate or not. Actually, you should not just because you are government, because you are regulator, that I want to regulate whatever is there. Actually, that should never be the intention. That will never be good. Actually, here, when you compare it with the telecom, there are two different aspects of blockchain. Like telecom had two parts. One, telecom as a technology, and second, telecom as a service. So initially, regulator wanted to regulate the both, and they did not do a great job. Then the regulatory paradigm had to be changed, and the regulator was told that if you cannot move faster than the technology or the market, you should not regulate that part. And for the technology part, regulator was way behind, even in telecom. In blockchain, they are not there, in fact, as a technology. But in telecom, they were far behind. So a decision was taken. We will be what is called technology neutral. The technology neutral means you just don't regulate the technology, you make it free, let it have a free movement. But to protect the interest of the consumer, to protect the national security, you have to regulate. And that was done at a services level. So services were licensed, then there were regulation, compliances, interception, all those things. So that was only on the service part. So the same analogy we have to take here, actually, because what happens when you are in doubt as a regulator, then the thumb rule is don't regulate. Whenever you are in doubt, don't regulate. So if you are in doubt about the technology, don't regulate it. Initially, internet was unregulated, and that is how it flourished. The same thing is blockchain. As a technology, the regulators should not venture into regulate it because they cannot do it. Even if you know about the technology, you cannot regulate the technology. Technology is a natural phenomena. It will grow, it will come, it will be disruptive. All these things will happen. So you don't have to worry about that part. You have to worry about the application part. So if at all you want to regulate, regulate the application part. So that is the starting point. But here also, now we were talking about the policy. We were talking about the state level policy. We were talking about the framework. That is correct. Each state have its own policy. Anybody can have its own policy. That is okay. Luckily, we have a national framework of MIT. That is, of course, neither a policy nor a regulation. Actually, but both are not required. Sometime in a new technology, a new kind of system, you can have a standardized framework, standardization for the purpose of interoperability, but you have to leave it free. And yes, you should have what is called a code of conduct kind of thing, which is done in the form of self-regulation. Industry bodies should be there, think tank should be there. So they should be told to have a self-regulation based on a code of conduct. And that is enough for a technology like blockchain. Otherwise, the policy alone is not enough. Policy does not give any power to anybody. Framework gives at least some advice on standardization. What is required if you really want to be true to your role as a government governance? It has to come with the act. Act of parliament is required, and that is a long drawn thing. It is not to be done in a hurry, but it should be processed. A process should start a blockchain promotion act. The role of the regulator has to be that of a facilitator. He has to be hands-on here. He has to give the job to the industry in the form of self-regulation. So that is how the regulation should be thought of. So it should not be done because you have the power to regulate. So let me regulate. It's not required. But some of the application can be regulated, like CBDC. The RBI is already doing it. So like that, at application layer, if you see that it can go wrong, it can be it can harm the interest of the people or the nation. That part you should regulate, but not the technology part. And if at all you want to have a framework, it should start with the act actually. You should have a act. The act, then under that you should make your regulation wherever you want. Whatever you don't want to regulate, the act should permit the users to do it, because here whenever a regulator comes, then the main ingredient of blockchain get killed, the decentralization. In blockchain, the main thing is there should not be a central authority. So regulator will become a central authority here if you start regulating the blockchain as a technology. So you cannot afford that. Then it will kill the efficiencies, the productivity, the innovativeness, the flexibility of the blockchain actually. So you have to leave it free, the technology part in any case, and you bring a overarching act which is facilitating act and still protect the interest of the consumers, protect the interest of the nation, and also enable the investments in the country. So regulation is actually against the investment. If something is highly regulated, investment may not come. If something is just free to everyone, more investment will come. And you still don't give away your power to protect the consumer interest. That you can do through a application layer regulation or a act. You can bring a act, but everything has to be done on what I call a code of conduct basis, self-regulation, light-handed regulation. So that is what I thought we should be looking forward to.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for the input from the regulatory point of view. So now we are moving towards our last part of the last part of the session. So I think let me summarize it, Sanjay, here that we have understood what the post-COVID world is. We have also understood what the blockchain technology and what the industry moving on to, and we also got a very good view of exactly what is the frame or the factors which are actually building this ecosystem. And we also understood what the government's play is. And I think everybody will agree that government is unclear because technology is more faster than them. I mean, it's better not to regulate and let the technology evolve itself by the market. Now, let's come to the last point of it. So, I mean, I have two questions for all of you. So, I will start with Prasanna sir, then Satya sir, and Malika, you can put out. First, very crisp, what is your feeling blockchain industry will be in the next 3, 4, 5 years? Second thing is, which every audience here is waiting for, what is the preparation the future leaders has to do? I mean, from the academic point of view, from the student point of view, or the young generation point of view, to swim in this particular future industry, because every day is an uncertainty. I mean, positive uncertainty. I'm not saying in a negative way, but everything is changing. I mean, 4 years back we were blockchain. We were talking about post-COVID. We are talking about work from home. Now we're talking about metaverse, and everything is positive, but it just keeps on changing. I mean, so what is the mindset or the preparation of the future workforce should do? And what is your view of the next 4 years? What is the roadmap which you will see for the blockchain industry? So, Professor, first start with you.
I think a very good question, which will give a lot of 360-degree that what is really happening. I think next 3 4 years we will see a lot of use cases which will go live. I think telecom industry is already live on a largest use case where every SMS you receive today, which is filtered at blockchain, right? And which is a example that how blockchain can be scalable and far secure, and which has really helped to avoid a lot of fraudulent SMSs. So going forward, I think not only telecom, banking, education, supply chains, healthcare, every industry have to adopt blockchain. Rather, it will be inherently will be adopted into those ecosystems, into those market places or a share economy, because most of the things will go on as a service, right? Say during pandemic itself, we have seen healthcare as a service. We have seen rise of so many apps, which has really helped fellow Indians to avail for any of those medical consultancies. The kind of platforms we have built, like GEM or any other supply chain platforms or income tax platforms, taxation platforms, these platforms need to talk to each other. They need to talk to other regulator platforms also. And blockchain is one of those answers. It will take a lot of time there, but a lot many such use cases like cross-border payment, having a banks or a country's central bank digital currency, these use cases will be implemented. I think for sure in India we'll see go live or a pilot of wholesale crypto, wholesale CBDC in India soon in this year, or down the line next year, next year first half. So I could see every organization, an organization driven regulator will adopt blockchain. Why I'm saying, because I can see RBI Innovation Hub, IFSCA and IDRBT and many other NPCIs are adopting and opening those railroads, existing railroads, for doing a lot of experimentation on a Web3 and a blockchain kind of a ecosystem. So next 3-4 years, it is known, and the way I have been interacting with the industry also, IBMs and all, the view is that blockchain is already being sold. Blockchain is going to be there, but only in what use cases, and it will be always there in the back end to strengthen the whole ecosystem, to create a better agility, interoperability and security. Blockchain will be always there. You don't have to run around now why blockchain. Everybody has understood why blockchain is important. So that is so now what is very important, as Dr. Satyan also said, regulation. We do not want to regulate technology. We want to regulate use cases, whether these use cases are around better customer experience, data security, data integrity, and if it is not, it will be regulated. That is what we have seen. We have not regulated internet, but we regulated internet banking or a mobile banking, how it should be, right? Or how payment should be there. The standards like PCI DSS or ISOs and many others, they come and regulate, rather control the overall use cases. So that is what we will see, while we do not have a standardization of blockchain, and rather standardization blockchain inherently in every layer one, they are creating their own standards. So it's a good to see that how it is coming up. Even while building use cases like CBDCs, countries are taking care and talking to other countries to, so that recommendations like how do we have a better interoperable CBDCs, right? Rather than a single CBDC, which is done a retail CBDC at a country level, how interoperable cross-border CBDC should be there. So more and more collaboration will happen in the next few years, and so on. So this is what I could see. And while doing this, as a leader, a leader could be at academia, a leader could be at a organization or a bank, or leader could be at a government. So everybody has to see a very simplistic aspect. How do we create awareness? How do I create awareness to my professors, my teachers, my lecturers, so that they know when tomorrow we are going to introduce blockchain as a course, how they will really participate into that, or reskill, rather than we hire new skills and do another kind of a business model. So reskill existing people within organization, within academia, reskill government officers, so that know what are those use cases and nitty-gritty of technology, and they come up with their own brain, their own intellectual things. How do we have a better autonomous model? So today's banking is a digital banking. What we are seeing down the line 3-4 years, it's a kind of a collaboration banking with AI, blockchains. But down the line 5-6 years, it will be autonomous banking or autonomous world, right? Which will be done on its own with a more 5G maturity and combination with the metaverse and AI, blockchain. It's a completely autonomous world. We will see leaders should keep on reinventing the learning models within organization. They need to introduce blockchain and other emerging technology courses, as well as functional models, how new functions are going to come. Say example, in banking, it's going to be hyper personalized model, better financial inclusion. Banking will be on all types of devices, not only phones, but banking will be in the home, right? People will come and put some robot in a home, and you have to just talk to him for all of your banking and non-banking services. Your cars will become interface for banking. Today we have already UPI out there for Ola, Uber, but how we have a more. So I think possibilities are huge. So leaders have to keep on researching and keep in touch with the industry, right? Either they can do it themselves, but to avoid that energy and cost, they have to create consortiums around some use cases. And this consortium talks practice pilots for with blockchain and other technologies, so that it becomes more and more powerful offerings to the end user. So I think learning, relearning is very, very important for this retransformation. This is not a transformation, the retransformation what we have seen in the last couple of years. It will retransform more and more. Existing models, business model will be retransformed. We have to rethink how we can, how customer is looking at the same service. Customer want to see 5 options in front of him. He don't want to go physically. He is going because he doesn't have that option. But tomorrow with 5G and marketplace banking or marketplace things, he will have 5 options and he will choose one of them and will move ahead. So how do you create those platform or super apps? That is also very, very important in your strategy of building applications. Every application should be API first, blockchain first, and AI first. What we have seen yesterday's apps, they were web applications or some of those monolithic database applications or monolithic APIs. But leaders now should have an inclination, it should be API first, blockchain first, AI first, or a data first, so that it is interoperable. It is interoperable other ecosystem which is coming up. Even partners, when they are partner leaders, when they are coming up with any of those ecosystems, they need to see whether the bank or whether the organization already adopted, how their application will go and deploy immediately, and so forth, right? Leaders should look at how cloud adoption is going to happen. Cloud is there since last 10-12 years, maybe more than that. But in the banking ecosystem, I think here onwards we will see cloud banking heavily. So, in a nutshell, leaders are at different levels. Government leaders has to do what is there around Atmanirbhar. We have seen lot of push from Indian government, and how blockchain should become a backbone for our economy in form of a digital rupee, or in form of a UPI, or in form of any other ecosystem, should be backed by a right digital identity with the right framework. Leaders should be banks or healthcare companies. They need to create internal curve for learning, relearning, or COE approach. Leaders could be from academia. They need to adopt blockchain and other emerging technologies immediately. I will not be surprised, some of you will bring on blockchain engineering, or Web3 engineering, or AI engineering, or likewise, right? So what we had seen way back 40-50 years, we just had a mechanical engineering and some or civil engineering, and today we have various varieties, right? Similarly, this gives a lot of opportunity. Blockchain creates, internet has created a lot of jobs, right? Web developer, application developer, and so on, web architects, and so on. Similarly, blockchain is a foundational tech. It will create multiple roles on a technology side and a functional side also, and these roles will be helpful for taking complete orbit of companies, education, country to the next level. And it has to be backed by some framework and consortium at a larger, at a national level. So India Blockchain Forum, or Indian government, or IBIC, or BIS. So these forums are fueling this whole ecosystem. So it's a beautiful time ahead, Akhil. Yeah, thank you so much for inviting me here.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much for the input. And just to add to you, we are not only starting BTech in blockchain, but we also have masters in business administration, MBA, specialization in Web3, blockchain, and metaverse. Coming out the next year. Next year we're launching it. I mean, from the marketing and branding purpose. I mean, not a technical purpose, but this is exact. The world is moving very fast, Prasanna sir, even in the education side. So, I mean, Satya sir, last concluding point from your side as well. So, what is the future looks like? I mean, future in the next 2-3 years. What is your view? And what as a future leader, when I say future leader, which also includes students, faculties, or stakeholders, we all are from the same department. What preparations we need to have for the next 2 to 3 years? Very briefly.
Yeah, thank you, Akhil. I think Prasanna ji have covered everything, but I'll be very brief. Let me say what is my vision to see the blockchain in India in next 3 years. I personally means have a vision that we as a country should have a national blockchain infrastructure, which is a public digital good on a open access basis. No, so it is easier done than said, actually. It has to be done by public-private partnership government, industry, everyone. I like to call it in the form of blockchain cooperative. So a blockchain cooperative will create the national blockchain infrastructure like a national highway authority creates these highways. So same way, blockchain cooperative should create a unique and single open access blockchain platform, one only, where government contributes, industry contributes, individual contributes, everyone, society as a large contributes, and it is owned by the public. It is not owned by just government or just by anybody. Owned by the public, that means it will be a blockchain of ownership. Everyone will be owning that. Nobody will be a single controller of that. It will be on an open access basis, open standard, based on the blockchain framework of the government itself. It is already there, moving in that direction. So on that, then you can run your application. You can make your own decentralized database or a decentralized data ledger platform based on these public blockchain, which is the single one, because it will bring the efficiencies, it will bring the operational advantages, standardization, and economy of scale. Actually, once you can do it, it is equivalent to like one world, one internet. Same way, at least one country, one blockchain kind of thing. Modi ji always talks about one India, one network, one India, one solar system. So one India, one blockchain. So that is there, and it does not mean it has to be done by government, because if government only does it, it will be very inefficient. Actually, it will take years, like our BBNL, 13 years they have taken Bharat Broadband Network. So, but if it is a blockchain cooperative, takes best of both the worlds, make the industry experts, professional, best brain of the country, make it actually and contribute to this, and ownership, everyone have a ownership. So once that is there, then the use cases will come very easy, very simple. It will be open access, economy of scales, everything will be there. So the leaders, what they have to think is, they have to think in this direction, that how to collaborate with each other, with government, with your end user, which is the customer, because it has to be a cooperative thing. Customer has to be the owner of the wealth. I'll give example of my Web3. Actually, when first web comes, www, in 1990. So I used to call it World Wide Wait. I never used to call it World Wide Web because it was too slow and too boring. So World Wide Web. Then the Web 2 came. So Web 2 was World Wide Web, where you can interact, you can create everything, but you cannot own your content. Now World Web 3, what is being talked about? I have named it World Wide Wealth, not World Wide Web, because it is the wealth created by you. You are owning your content. You are controlling your. There is no central monopolization, no centralization. So that is what I'm moving towards. First, we should have a national blockchain infrastructure on an open access basis, a public good kind of thing, a national public good. And on that, then you do all the use cases, everything you want to do on a collaborative and cooperative basis. So you will use the concept of DAO, smart contract, all the concepts of blockchain will be used here to create that, so that no central control, because central control is not the bad thing. Only thing is it is very, very inefficient. It brings inefficiencies which cannot be afforded as we move forward. So with that, I'll stop, Professor. Thank you for the opportunity given. I hope our deliberation will be useful to your students. Thank you.
Yeah, sir. It's a recorded session, so it will circulate to every platform possible. So, Malika, going to you before I conclude everything. So, briefly, what is your view? I think you have much more better points to say. And secondly, very crucial point, what does future leaders and the students of today and other people, all of us, should be preparing for? Yeah.
Thank you. Before I begin, I think I'm impressed by Dr. Gupta's previous two answers. One regarding regulation. Why regulate when you are not even in the game? I mean, I guess that's their sense. Uh, let them figure it out, as long as it doesn't affect national security. And secondly, this one about worldwide wealth. It is indeed going to be a data economy. and blockchain is going to help us towards that. So where do I see the industry? Where do I see the industry in the coming few years? I think right now it's a wild west kind of a scenario. You have dozens of serious blockchains and competing ideologies. Uh, it's a diversity of approaches, and it's difficult for even experts to figure out what is right and what is not, right? So you have proof of stake versus proof of work. You have but I mean, personally, I'm a physicist and I believe that work cannot be faked, right? So nothing comes for free, so I'm a proponent of proof of work. Then you also have certain differences amongst the people in the community. So some people believe in the blockchain trilemma. Personally, I don't. Then there is the entire debate around decentralization. What constitutes decentralization? Is a network decentralized simply because everybody is running their Raspberry Pis, even though they are not mining blocks? Questionable, highly questionable. I think decentralization truly comes from peer-to-peer nature of the blockchain. So all these things, I think, in the coming years, there'll be many battles going on, not in debate rooms, but actually on the field. So when products compete, when people actually see for themselves the benefits of each side, and then they pick what is going to be the next big thing. So over the next 3 to 5 years, I see that people will begin to understand more and more what constitutes a real blockchain that is of use to them. Like Dr. Gupta said, he believes in a single shared public ledger. So do I. Right, and we'll see what way the people of India and the world respond to this. So I think it is going to be an interesting battle, not in debate rooms but on the ground. Secondly, with regards to how we are going to go ahead, what should future leaders be looking at? Again, it's I think COVID so this brings our webinar to a full circle. I think COVID has changed things so much that uh, none of the old strategies are going to work. So if somebody wants to be extremely orthodox about how they conduct their business and their career and their education, it may not really work out. People have to be prepared to take crazy decisions. So I mean, I myself, it's so weird to even say this, but I took the craziest decision of changing my career into this right away, and that to committing to a certain very niche ideology of what a blockchain is. That's because I truly believe in it. So uh, it's a high risk game, but the reward will also be equally proportionate. So I think people need to do their own research. This is the most important thing. Of late, people have been failing to do their own research, and it shows. People have fallen for groupthink and what goes around in the media. So doing their own research and having the ability to take courageous decisions is what will define the future leaders in this space. And again, it's going to be a proof of work in the sense that we may talk about a lot of things, but what we actually do on the ground matters. And people are slowly beginning to see through this. So I think that's where I would like to end my monologue.
Great.
Thank you so much, Professor.
Oh, I mean, it's a great excitement. I mean, it's really exciting discussion between Prasanna sir, Satya, and Malika. And let me before concluding it, I think what I summarize what the future leaders should do from the things which you have already set out. I think first of all, should disruption is not only technology. We should also have a disruptive mindset. In the sense, we should be able to adapt to each thing which is happening around because things are going to be very fast paced in the next 3 4 years. So I mean, as a students and the faculties, I think we should be prepared for for the next big revolution coming in and to adapt it positively. I mean, every day the new learning. I mean, that's the most important. Constant learning has become very important. I think Malika said this point: the skill is now more important than the degree you have. So I mean that skill is what constant learning we have to keep on learning of what are things happening around, and we should always have eyes and ears open to what is happening around. We and as a faculty or a student or who are who the students who are going to swim in the next 3 4 years, who will be sitting in Malika's place or Prasanna's place or Satya's place in the next 10 15 years. I mean, they have to be part of the conversation which is happening today. I mean, that's the most important thing to bridge the gap between the what we teach and what the industry is going through. I mean, that gap can be closed only by the conversation like this we are happening. We constant conversation which is going to happen, and that is how industry also going to learn that what the academics is also doing it. I mean, good to hear from all of you. Thank you so much for such a great interaction. And I'm seriously saying you. Prasanna sir, first of all, first, let me give you thanks to you because it's the first webinar of you with School of Business UPES. So I'm really thanks for your input and everything. I think we will be in constant touch as a school with you, with more interactions and more valued exchange between us. Satya sir, thank you for your really important time. I think 11:30 sharp. You said we have to you had to it, and thankfully we are exactly at 11:30, and
Yeah.
we are closing it. We are closing it. Malika, as usual, sharp, crisp, and always smiling. I'm really thankful to you that you have given this opportunity for me, and thanks to all the audience and students who are part of it. And this recording is going to go on YouTube in next 1 hour, and the LinkedIn and Facebook platform. I'll be sharing with all the guests, and you can share with your colleagues and your teams and others. Thank you so much for your
Thank
time.
you.
Thank you
It's been
so
an
much.
honor.
Thank you,
Yeah, thanks a
everyone.
lot.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye. Have
Thank
a
you so
nice
much,
day.
sir. Thank you.
Bye. Bye.